Thank you very much for waiting. We would like to now move on to a keynote. We would like to invite Mr. Gen Nakatani, former Minister of Defense. During the Ishiba administration, he served as a defense minister, and he has been leading a security policy of Japan, and he is well versed in Indo-Pacific situation and international cooperation. Japan, US, Japan, Korea, Japan, Australia. He has had active exchanges with defense leadership of these countries. He will discuss the security environment surrounding Japan and the role of the Japan-US alliance and the challenges that it faces. Over to you, the keynote speech titled Japan and its National Security Outlook.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Hello. Thank you for the kind introduction. This is Nakatani again. Up until the day before yesterday, I was the defense minister, but I have handed over to Mr. Koizumi. And then immediately have been invited to the private sector symposium, the co-sponsored by Nikkei and CSIS. I had to have joined the National Defense Academy, and I became a self-defense, the Japanese self-defense the officer, and I was a platoon leader for the regiment at Yamagata Prefecture. I was the instructor at the Rangers, and I have to work with the officers on the ground together, sweat and toiled, and listened to their anxieties and their concerns. I have been placed into different posts. On the second year of Heisei, I was elected to the lower house and have been elected 12 times, and I have never been defeated. And in the LDP, National Defense Study Group, I have worked there, and I have for the 3 times been appointed to be the defense minister. The Nakatani Gen 1.0, the first time I was a defense minister, that was in 2001 under Koizumi, the cabinet. There was 911, the simultaneous terrorism in the United States, and we have newly enacted the counter-terrorism special measures law. We have sent the self-defense force to the Indian Ocean to be engaged in supply of fuel and the water. It was in Indian Ocean, so the self-defense force will not be involved in actual combat. But everybody was happy, and we were quite useful, I believe. And around that time, I was in my 40s. I was 43 of age. The 10-year senior of me were still in the self-defense forces at the defense ministry. I was able to casually discuss and talk with them. The 3 services of the self-defense force, there was a joint operational conference, but this conference was not given any power or authority. And I considered to establish joint staffs. And after 2 decades, now we have the JJOC being put in place, which is the Joint Operational Command. All the operation now being integrated at the JJOC, so self-defense force will be able to move in a speedy and dynamic way. Now, the Nakatani Gen 2.0, that is, in 2014, I was for the second time being appointed to be the defense minister under Abe cabinet. We were for every day engaged in discussion at the Diet on the defense issues as well as constitutional issues, that it was not constitutional or that it will be in violation of what is being put into the Constitution, that it is actually war. But then a partial execution of collective self-defense right has been enacted to be admitted. And we are now, under the new law, being allowed to protect and defend the U.S. fleet as well. So we're now able to engage in multilateral partnership and exercises. And we have strengthened our capability on deterrence as well as response. And then under Nakatani Game 3.0, this was when the Ishiba administration was born in October last year. I was once again being appointed to be a defense minister. The military expansion of China was seen not only in the East China Sea, but also South China Sea and Taiwan, and even to Australia. There was a lot of major impacts coming from China. And also Ukrainian war was in its third year. It even continues today. And at the time, transformation of the military, the ICT, the drones, all the military capabilities have been revolutionized. But I think that the Ukrainian war, based upon the geopolitical strategy in a classical way, the Spikeman's Rimland power. Rimland, that is right in the center of Eurasia, and it will expand and control the whole world. That was a theory. The power in the center of Eurasia seems to be expanding, actually. So the classical geopolitical change and transformation seems to be now happening in reality. So in our national security strategy, we also should learn from such past histories and experiences. And I have used this phrase. This is called the jo. It is not do, but it is pronounced as jo. This was actually being coined by Confucius. What you want should not be allowed for the others. What you don't want to be done to you, you should not do unto others. Now, power harassment and sexual harassment seems to be the tenet. So even though we need to train our soldiers and officers at the self-defense force, because of the power harassment, the sexual harassment, the control, we tend to be afraid of saying or doing certain things. But we need to care for the others and to be able to be tolerant for others. Commanders need to have a very generous and welcoming attitude to think about your subordinates, your soldiers and officers under you. You need to build a good relationship of trust and confidence. Now, another point is, I don't think gender matters in the military. I always meet with anybody I meet and shake hands. Where are you from? On what year were you born? And thank you for your service. Those are the words I always have stated when I met with anybody in the self-defense force. The third thing that I am doing in a routine manner is, JJOC is what I have already mentioned. The Joint Operational Command has been created, and 365 days a year. Now, it seems it is routinely North Korea is launching missiles, and we also have natural disasters hitting us on a routine manner. And JJOC need to respond to all of those incidents. And now, the headquarters inside the defense ministry was taking the lead, but the command on the ground and also the head office ministry need to work a hand-in-glove sort of situation. Everyone is now cooperating. That is good. Trump 2.0 is something that we are to discuss today, I understand.
I was surprised that Chinese Navy's vessels and aircrafts are going beyond the first island chain. They are in the Pacific, they are in the West China Sea, Indian Ocean. Particularly, they are active in the Taiwan Strait. They are surrounding Taiwan. And Chinese naval vessels are always there, being very active. So we need to strengthen SDF, not just in terms of assets, but tactics as well. Deterrence response capabilities of SDF must be strengthened. Joint operations with the United States and standoff missiles and long-range firepower should be deployed in the southwestern islands so that we can strengthen our deterrence so that they will hesitate, the foe will hesitate to strike or take an action. That is what we are doing in terms of deployment. And stand in is also important. What do I mean by stand in? We go to the vicinity of the foe's equipment to impose deterrence so that the foe will hesitate to strike, and a stand in will be necessary for us to think. So where we have Trump 2.0 and in Ukraine, Trump 2.0 is taking actions in Ukraine, but I was surprised during my minister. NATO IP4 consists of Japan, South Korea, Australia, New Zealand. IP4 were invited to NATO Leaders Summit, and Japan was there. And Minister of Defense, Mr. Umerov of Ukraine, we were directly engaged with him, and we joined the conference meetings. So the security in Europe and security in East Asia, in Asia and Indo-Pacific are linked. They are inseparable. This is a wide-held recognition amongst NATO members, and quite a number of NATO assets have traveled to Japan, joint surveillance to defend U.S. forces, even during the peace time. ISR is now available under the new Japanese law. So joint exercises, we are joined by many other countries, and we will perform joint patrol. In terms of defense initiative, defense vision, I was attending, I delivered a speech at Shangri-La in Singapore.
という言葉を使いました。これはインド太平洋
One theater is the phrase that I have used. When we look at the Indo-Pacific, all the countries are actually connected. So we need to have this bird's eye view of the Indo-Pacific to have defense cooperation and collaboration. So ocean is the concept that I have advocated to try to strengthen partnership of the like-minded countries. Ocean stands for OCEAN. One cooperative effort among nations. Let me explain. The Indo-Pacific countries to work in partnership as a shared concept, one theater, that Indo-Pacific is connected as one theater. We need to look for synergy in an organic partnership, and dialogue and collaboration should be the norm in trying to work amongst the allies as well as like-minded countries. And Japan should take the initiative for that. And from last year, I have been visiting all these major countries. And for Korea, I went to Korea in September this year, first time in 10 years. In the Philippines, there is Defense Minister Teodoro. He is of a person of grand scale. And we have actually offered to the Philippines the patrol control of the radars. And I have visited and toured the site and watched what is happening there. Now, I also went to India. And India has a equidistance the strategy with China and the United States. But India feels rather close to Japan. I have met with Defense Minister Sin, and it was a few hours before India has attacked Pakistan. But we have agreed to establish JIDIP, JIDIP, which is the defense cooperation between Japan and India in the Indo-Pacific. We are now preparing to fully establish this JIDIP. So with Europe, I have already mentioned, I have participated in the NATO Defense Ministers Conference as well as the G7 minister, and we have GCAP together with United Kingdom and Italy to develop together the next generation fighter plane, and we have already established JIGO secretariat for that. And with Australia, that 11 vessels will now be purchased from Japan. The frigates, the destroyers will be purchased by Australia. If we are to have a joint operation, we are now able to share the same capabilities because we can share those the vessels. So now we are able to do all these things. For the past year, I have been the defense minister again, but now we are to celebrate 80 years after the Second World War. Iwo Jima and Okinawa, I have together visited with Secretary Hegseth. Never had to have any war, that we should work closely together with the United States. So in my meeting with my U.S. counterpart, so 80 years before, we had such a fierce fight between the two countries, but now we are working very closely together for Indo-Pacific and for the whole world to preserve peace and prosperity, that we are now teaming up and working closely together. The central theme is to further boost resilience for the Japanese defense capability, 43 trillion yen at 5 years to be added. So this year, 10 trillion or more. And we are now trying to do our best to achieve 2% of our GDP. Under the Takaichi cabinet, this will be declared. And the 3 security documents will be possibly revised. And also the engine for the submarines as well as cyber security capability. There are many things that we need to work closely and strengthen our capability. In the newly revised 3 security documents, we hope to make this.
自衛隊
And self-defense forces, SDF, has to be strong. Otherwise, we cannot defend our nation. No matter how wonderful the exercises, if there is a backlash against exercises by SDF, by the citizens and residents, then SDF will have no chance to demonstrate its full capabilities and potential. SDF will fail to defend the people. At last, SDF has become a solid organization, but in order to earn the empathy and the support of the people of Japan, there is a lot of work that remains to be done. This symposium is about the changing world. What kind of security, what kind of national defense are required of the age. And we have wonderful panelists. And Mr. Kawano, a former Chief of Staff, Joint Staff, Japan Self-Defense Forces, he is also a rugby player like me. And we used to form a scrum with him. And he is a wonderful partner. And I'll be looking forward to his speech. And I hope all these members will work and strive towards the enhancement of Japan's defense. So I have shared with you some of my thoughts. Yes, the world will continue to change and evolve. But it is our responsibility to establish a setup in an organization which can stand the test of times. With your support and understanding, we will continue to work to realize solid defense capabilities. But I would take this opportunity to ask for your continued advice and patronage. So 2 days after my stepping down as the Minister of Defense, I delivered my speech. Trump will be here, Secretary Hexes will be here, and Southeast Asia, ASEAN, South Korea, China. It might be that they might be encountering Kim Jong-un in Bamunten on the Korean Peninsula. We don't know yet, but this is a critical moment, with no doubt, that Trump is coming to Japan. And it is at this critical juncture that we are having this symposium. I highly appreciate this opportunity, and let me end my presentation with the word of thanks to the organizer. Thank you very much for your attention.
Nakatani-sama.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nakatani. Once again, a big applause for him, please.